Heart been broke so many times, I don't know what to believe. Mama say it's my fault, I wear my heart on my sleeve.
Welcome in everybody to the first show of season 2, Walk in Your Greatness. This is the J.O.B. podcast. I am Dave Ford.
And I'm Todd Steele.
Guys, thank you so much for coming back for the second go-around of this, and we're actually going to get a full season this time, so God only knows how many shows we're going to get. We got 17 last year from late June until the second to last week of December. So we'll see what all crazy things we can get going this year, but Ty, what's been going on with you, man? Let's do a little rehash and then we'll jump into it.
Oh man, the holidays was great, right?
They came and went.
Yeah, then we had to go back to work. Work was draining.
Always is.
Even though all the students are not back to school yet, or they started coming back this week,
Mm-hmm.
Work was still draining. Just have that week off and you're like, oh, don't
Post-holiday blues.
Yes. So we definitely need a vacation from vacation.
Yes.
But I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I enjoyed seeing the kids smile, getting everything they wanted, and eating. Lots of eating going on. Made some pound cakes. Well, I made a pound cake, and Janaea made brownies. So I don't know. I have this new love for brownies right now. Even though every time I smell them, we're gonna have some.
That's why you smelled them when you came in the house.
It's like, oh, is that cookies? Brownies? What is it?
Nice. Well, yeah. I mean, the holidays did come and go pretty quickly, and but as we talked about on that last show, I did get what I wanted, and that was calm and peace, and that was so rewarding, more than anything I could have unwrapped. So it's been nice. I was actually sad to see him go, and it's always a great feeling, like the end of a great book. You know, you read the last word, and you're like, hey, man, that was great. I wish it wasn't over. So it's awesome to roll into 2020. Man, we're in a new decade, dude. You know, that's what's nuts is that people are like, new year, but then you're like, whoa, we're in a new decade.
Oh, yeah.
And you go back and look, you're like, wow, 2010, how much has happened in my life in just 10 years? And it's enough for you to really, really burn your gears if you sit in it way too long.
Exactly.
But this show today was inspired. We have mutual Facebook friends, but you actually know this gentleman, Chandler Strong.
Oh, yeah, I know Chandler.
And I've got to meet him. I messaged him back and forth a couple of times yesterday. I wanted to ask him if it was okay if I mentioned him today and just to let him know that you and I were talking about him. And you gave me a brief description of his journey. And I know that he's a guy who locally has the ear of our youth.
Oh, yeah.
And he's a Bay High School guy, a proud alum, and he is an aspiring coach and really wanting to get out there. And he messaged something last week in his feed, and I said something back to him to the effect of where he was wanting to know what is the time expectancy of somebody to get through college. And he was kind of doing that whole thing that we've done, looking to your left and your right, and saying, am I on pace for my age? Where am I supposed to be? And I was very honest with him. I said, you know what, dude? It's your journey. It's nobody else's story but yours. I said it took me 8 years, and I joked over the years I should have been a doctor. You know, and I said, you know, I paid my own way for about 85-90% of that. Actually, I was working full time, going to school full time, part time, taking breaks. You know. All these things happen in your late teens, early 20s.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you're like, wow, it took me 8 years to get my bachelor's degree. I said, so basically, don't try to keep up with everybody. You just do you. And you've been down that road. You know, yeah. I mean, you've gone even higher than me. You've got, what, 2 master's degrees?
No, I just got that one master's.
Okay. Well, don't just say just. One's an accomplishment.
Hey, that's the just of the show today.
Exactly.
Walking in your greatness.
Exactly. Well, so let's talk about that. And I want to know how do you define it, and then we can start bullet pointing. Because you came up with the title saying "Walking in Your Greatness." What were you thinking when you said that title?
The main thing I was thinking about, let me get to it right here. It's this, you know, I'm a psychology guy. Love psychology.
A little bit.
Was looking at a disorder. It's called imposter disorder.
Hmm.
Imposter disorder is mainly people believing that, like successful people believing that they still haven't accomplished a lot.
Guilty.
So yeah,
Right.
so therefore they feel like they are a fraud, no matter how successful they are in life, and no matter
Right.
how good and far they are in life, they still feel like they haven't accomplished anything, or they're not great, and that they're a fraud and they're about to be found out.
Right.
And so when I got to studying that disorder, I mean, it really intrigued me, because I can't tell you how many people I know that feel like they're not great. Great people,
Right.
real good people that don't feel like they've reached their true potential in life and have achieved a lot of things, have achieved a lot of greatness, but still feel like they lack thereof, or they really hadn't achieved anything. So
Yes.
they feel like they're a fraud. So that really stuck out with me, because I started to think about how many people I know that I feel are like super great, but in their mind they're like, man, no, it's not. I'm not what you think I am. I'm not this and I'm not that. And they continue to beat themselves up. And when you start beating yourself up like that, you can't go no further in life, because you're focused on the state of mind that you're in right now and where you're at. And a lot of us are a lot better than what we really think we are.
Sure.
So that was the gist of it. But I was talking just like, hey man, walk in your greatness.
Okay.
So a lot of people have a hard time walking in greatness because they don't feel like they're great. They don't feel like they deserve the accolades or the stuff that they're getting because of their past or because of who they used to be. So I definitely want to talk about that today.
Well, that's something that I know I'm very guilty of. Demi's guilty of it as well. In fact, we had a pretty deep discussion today. So look, something we need to do a better job of. It's not just this whole since it's 2020 thing. It's just because life in general, when we accomplish something, we need to be in that moment and give ourselves credit for that.
Yep.
I said, because how are we supposed to enjoy where we're going if we're always going, okay, next man up, next thing up? Now, that's a survival skill.
Yes.
So we need to learn how to separate the survival skill and that is a strength.
Yep.
But don't make that your biggest strength to where you're using it as, well, hey, that's all cool that I did all that, but I haven't done enough. Well, we never do enough, really, because if we finished everything that we're supposed to do, then we're dead.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
So I think a lot of us who have experienced success at different levels, but don't sustain it, or even the people who we watch on TV, we watch the Tom Brady's, the Joe Montanas, and on and on, who were excellent. Michael Jordan. Now, they will be the first ones to tell you, well, I failed.
Yes.
More than I have been victorious, and that is why I keep achieving. And there's wisdom in that. But for the layperson, for the regular guy like me and you, who we do have reputations around town and be successful coaches, being successful teachers, but behind closed doors, we beat each other up pretty bad. We beat ourselves up pretty bad.
Definitely. It's always that next step, like what are you going to take, what you're going to do, what you're going to be. I mean, as soon as you achieve something, I won the championship. All right, I got to win the championship better again next year. And it's like you try to become a perfectionist, and it really doesn't take all of that. A lot of people, when it comes to getting into ministry or they want to do the things of God, they believe before they can come to God, they got to be perfect. And they don't realize, hey, God wants you just how you are. He wants you the perfect mess that you are. He's going to clean you up. He's going to make you better. We get so focused on doing things on our own. I had to speak today at church. And I told the church, I was like, listen, without God, I can't tell you what 5 plus 5 is.
Right.
I mean, I need Him to do everything.
Right.
I call on Him to do everything. And a lot of that, they say, man, you're being too humble. You're being too modest. Like, I got to stay humble. I really don't believe I've achieved what God has wanted me to achieve yet. Have I done some things that Ty still want to do? Yes. But in the midst of all of that, me achieving all these things, I still feel like at times I'm a failure.
Right.
One of them being, hey, I didn't pass the teaching certification test. I can't tell you how demoralizing and how draining that was because I didn't pass that test. And then you feel stupid. You're like, man, am I that bad?
You feel inadequate.
Like, like what is wrong with me that I can't pass math, English, but the truth be told, if you give it to a lot of people right now, they won't be able to pass it either.
And they call it general knowledge.
Yeah, it's definitely not general knowledge. I think they need to change it to a common sense test.
Yes, let's do that. Let's do that. 'Cause we'll pass common sense all day long, right? Well, if you're out there, I just messaged on there. Try to take some notes today. Let's try to be more interactive this year with this show. And I've been trying to encourage some people around me to say, hey, we love you listening to our podcast digitally when you're driving. But we sure would love you being here live, because you can message us right now and we can answer your questions, and you can probably add to the show, and that makes it better, adds more color. One of the bullet points that we took down in church today was pretty powerful to me. And it says, where there's no hope in the future, there's no power in the present.
Oh, yeah.
I know you've heard that before. Power of the present. Let's talk about that for just a couple minutes and see what we can concentrate on that. Power of the present is something that I have actually worked on really hard in the last 6 months. I can honestly say that every single day I am trying really, really hard to focus my energy on what are a few things I can get accomplished today. And when I get to the end of the day, can I check off at least one or two?
Yes.
I'm shrinking my goals to, and I guess kind of a way to trick myself into making me feel like more powerful. And some people might say, well, what are you really doing then? Well, what I'm doing is I'm trying to self-empower and not do what we just talked about 5 minutes ago, where I'm looking at the big picture and I'm saying I'm not doing enough to get up there. Well, if you're shrinking, then it makes your steps a lot smaller, and then all of a sudden before you can look over your shoulder and say, wow, I got all the way here, and I wasn't looking towards an end goal. So I'm trying to retrain my brain to appreciate those little moments. Yeah. Because it's become cliche over the years. Be in the moment, compartmentalize, make sure that you understand what's in front of you, blah, 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 blah. Well, I don't want to make it a cliche anymore. I want it to be, well, you know what? I'm going to get a year older this year. And one of the goals I wrote down in church today was, I don't want to be a prisoner of my physical pain anymore. Yeah. And for me, that's a big, big deal, because I do feel like I'm a prisoner in my own body. I do feel like if I was liberated from that somehow, that I would be unstoppable. I really do. But as you know, being a former athlete and having aches and pains, those kind of things can really wear on you mentally, emotionally, and physically. Definitely. And then you do want to quit. Definitely. You know? I mean,
I've been a prisoner of my pain for about 2 months with this high blood pressure.
Right.
And starting to get some relief. I still feel the side effects from it. I spoke today in church about Jacob wrestling with God, and I was like, you know what? The flesh will never win. And a lot of times those bumps and bruises, those high blood pressures we get left with, those limps that I got in my knee we get left with, are signs that the flesh can never win, or the flesh will never win. Some of the things we got to just start praying about and putting them in the spirit and letting God deal with those things. And he has definitely been blessing me, because from the way I felt to how I feel now, man, it is definitely night and day. Sure. And that's a part of it. I'm like, okay, so now how is my life going to be now that I'm trying to get this blood pressure under control? Am I going to have the blurred vision, or am I going to, my eyes are always going to be tired? That's the only thing I'm really dealing with now, is tired eyes. Yes. Or like a little blurred vision from my blood pressure being high. And hopefully I get my medicine adjusted, and that'll work. That'll help me out. But I start thinking about, like, man, how am I going to be great with this deficiency? Like, I need my eyes. I don't need to feel tired in my eyes. Now, how am I going to be great? And then I get reminded, like, how many times did you say you was going to finish your book with good eyes? Exactly. And now that your eyes are a little tired, you got to be even more greater now, because we're wrestling against the things of the spirit. But a lot of times we was trying to wrestle with that old flesh, and that flesh can't win. Right. So I'm trying to figure out new ways now to walk into my greatness. And like I said, me not passing that test, that was like a thorn in my side forever. Like, oh my God, I just feel like I don't feel right because I didn't pass that test. But that is not stopping the process of what I want to do. Now, I can tell you, when you have those times when you feel like you're not walking in your greatness, it feels like you're losing hope.
Yes.
And that's like one of the things I think I really lost hope in was like becoming a head football coach here in Bay County. I was like, I don't think that's going to happen here. And then at times I'm like, you know what? I don't think I want to coach football anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather be doing this. I'd rather be doing that.
Yeah.
But then I watch football on TV and I'm like, oh man, I need to be on football.
Well, it's a part of you. You can't help that.
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out like, is this something I want to walk away from, or is it not meant for me to be great right now? Because I think I started moving so fast, and it was like the momentum of me becoming a head coach was coming.
Right.
And then boom, you get shot down. Boom, you get shot down again, and you're like, is this something I wanted? Or was this something that God wanted?
Right.
Because I did so much through coaching. So I got times now where I have doubt. I'm like, dang, was I really that great?
Well, if you don't have doubt and if you don't get nervous about things, it means you don't care.
Yeah.
You know, and of course you're going to have doubt because you care. I can relate on a lower level just recently, just on Friday. So I signed up for that website, acx.com, for the voiceover stuff. Something I've wanted to do for a long, long time. One of those things I haven't been able to check off on my list of goals. And so I put my audition out there, and I got shot down the first 2 times. And I have this inherent flaw of getting my hopes up. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I'm going to do it. It's going to happen. It's going to happen, right? Yeah. Got shot down, and for a minute, I felt like a little kid. Yeah. Because I am not used to, in my adult life, being a professional getting shot down. Mm-hmm. And so then he's like, you just started. What's the big deal? You know? And then so not even 5 hours later, I got a message yesterday from a guy in England. And he's like, I caught your audition. I think I might want to do some work with you on this book, and I got 4 more projects. Wow. Don't know if it's going to work. I haven't heard from the guy again today. That's the world we live in. It's like you never know if somebody really is interested in what you're doing or not. Mm-hmm. But there is that part of you, like you said, you start, well, am I really talented? Am I really wasting my time? Yes. Who am I doing this for? Is God in this, or is it just me being selfish? Yes. So the questions just start, barraging you like that. Yeah, you start questioning yourself. I think what will be helpful for a lot of people today, and even you and I both, is going back to step 1, and for that is self-actualization. Mm-hmm. I know you've seen that term before in college. Mm-hmm. That is just to break that down and make it vanilla. Who are you? Yeah. That is you being with you in a room alone, looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, who am I? What am I about? Where do I want to go? Yeah. It's not about writing down goals. It's like, who am I to my core? Mm-hmm. So you really have to find that out first before you get to all these other steps that we're getting through today. Exactly. And discovery of self. Then the goal setting comes. Yep. And that's what we talked about in church today. And that's probably what you talked about today as well. Yeah, goal setting. I mean, everybody's right on it. I just talked about how Jacob wrestled with God. And if you know the story, how he kept wrestling with God. He wrestled with him all night into the next morning until God touched the hollow of his thigh. Yes. He knocked his hip out of place, and he couldn't move. Even then, Jacob jumped on him and clinged and wouldn't let go. And I talked about us clinging to things that we really need to let go of. A lot of us are battling and still trying to fight things that we should have let go of a long time ago. Right. But in the process of that, Jacob's name got changed to Israel. So he went from being called a liar, a cheater, a thief, to all of those, until he became Israel. God changed his name that day. But the way he changed his name was God asked him, what is your name? Mm-hmm. Now, we know God knows everything. Right. But in the process of him asking, what is his name, God was telling him, tell me who you really are. We all have a side of us that we don't talk about. Like, who are you really? I want you to admit who you are. Under the surface. And in the process of Jacob admitting who he really was, God was able to bless him. So I think a lot of us are held up and bound by things. We just need to admit, like, okay, this isn't right. Or I need to apologize here. I need to get that right. And once we can start admitting those things, we can start moving forward in our life. I think I had to accept, like, okay, I really had to accept me failing that test yet, because I know I'm going to go back and take it again. But I mean, I had to start admitting things to myself, because I realized me not getting this job, it hurt me. It really affected me. Mm-hmm. And instead of me being a man and just saying, hey, man, that really bothered me. I mean,
inside I was crying. Outside I was showing a good face.
Right.
But that goes back to how men are raised. We are taught to not cry. We are taught not to show our emotions and do all of those things. So on the inside, I was crying, I was hurting, and then I was taking my body through a process because I'm sitting here holding all this in instead of letting it out, when all I had to do was admit who I really was,
Right.
how I really was feeling, and what really hurt me. And it broke me to a certain point. And now God is saying, okay, I can put you back together. It was, the old, what was it, the old nursery rhyme, Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall, Humpty Dumpty fell a great fall.
Had a great fall, right?
Listen, they made it like a gospel song. New Gulf Coast Choir, shout out to New Gulf Coast Choir here in Panama City, Florida. They sing that song. I sung it when I was in their choir. But it talks about how Humpty Dumpty, they go through the whole nursery rhyme. But at the end, they talk about, I was Humpty Dumpty. I had a great fall. God put me back together again. So now I think I'm in the process of where God is putting me back together again. You got to get that joy back to be able to walk into greatness. Like no matter what you accomplish, it seems like that one time you fail, you feel inadequate. You feel like you're not going further. You feel like you failed. So I think God is in the process of putting us all back together. And I told him, I said, since the hurricane, God has put a lot of us back together. Some of us now have more than we ever had before.
Yes.
Some of us are getting new homes built because of Hurricane Michael. So we've got to start admitting who we really are and able to be able to walk into that greatness.
Well, you said a key word there, joy.
Oh yeah.
Joy is a powerful word. How can you not smile when you even think about joy, right? If joy is not in what you're doing, then why are you doing it? That's another question that you have to ask yourself. I've asked myself that many times when I was teaching.
Definitely while I was teaching.
I knew that at the end of the,
every day.
Oh yeah, and I'm not ashamed to say that. I mean, a lot of teachers say, well, yeah, I got in that parking lot in the morning and I was asking myself, can I go in today?
Yes.
And you know the answer to the question. You know you're going to go in. You know you're going to honor your commitment. But you do, after you put your head on your pillow at night, you wonder, can I do it again tomorrow?
Yeah.
Should I do it again tomorrow? But I had so many jobs before that I did the same thing. And I think that you and I are finding through this podcast, through finding each other in our mutual interests and what we do in coaching and these young boys that we're raising, these young girls that we're raising, we do find joy in those things, but at the same time, we've risked losing that.
Exactly.
We've gotten burned out.
Exactly.
And that's something that, going back to Chandler, was looking to your left and looking to your right and saying, am I keeping up in this horse race? Brother, it ain't a horse race. You're in your own race.
Exactly.
There's nobody racing against anybody. Now, is there competition out there? Mythically, yes. We're all, we've said that to nauseum, saying, keep up with the Joneses. That's kind of a fake thing. We don't really need to be doing that. You're seeing that on TV. That's what TV is for, it's entertainment. But when you want to localize it and keep it right here with your family and friends, who are you really racing against? Nobody. Do you even need to race with yourself? No. Take the pressure off of yourself, because we all have enough as it is. We got bills to pay. We have expectations by society. We have expectations by our family and friends. And think about the expectations you have on yourself. Who is a bigger criticizer of you than you?
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly. I mean, we are always our biggest critic. And no matter, I know me and you, we critique ourselves to death.
Every day.
Goodness, and God forbid we lose a game. Then we really critiquing ourselves.
Yeah.
But I know me going from one school to coaching at another school, and the kids, they don't respond like my first group of kids responded at my old school. Their life has been a little bit harder.
Right.
You gotta earn trust.
Yes.
When I was at North Bay Haven, the kids looked at me and you can see okay, this is a man I can trust. Going to Rutherford, the kids were like, okay, you look like me, but I gotta earn their trust.
Sure.
So it was definitely different working relationships I had to build with the kids, and a lot of times I felt like I wasn't what they needed at that particular point, and I wanted to give up. But I found out exactly I was definitely what they needed, because you find a man that cares about you. Hey, how you doing? What's going on? Is this okay at home? Talk to me about it. Let's get deeper. So I found myself being a lot of what they needed. But at first I was discouraged because I was used to being this way. Kind of like Moses, when God was trying to take Moses to another level as far as just like with greatness.
Mm-hmm.
Moses was used to using his staff. God was like, I want you to speak to the people and things will be as they are. I mean, like if you say this, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But Moses was used to using his staff, and he got mad in the process of helping all the people to miss the promised land. He got mad and hit the rock instead of speaking to the rock so the water could come out. And that's what stopped Moses from reaching the promised land. So a lot of times, God has used us at certain levels in our life only to be able, he wants to elevate us to another level. But we get so comfortable at the bottom level that we don't realize we've been elevated to another level and we need to act accordingly. So that's why it's hard for a lot of us to walk into that greatness, because we're used to just being at the bottom and we want to stay at the bottom.
Yeah. Well, there's that saying that you really can't have progress until you make yourself uncomfortable, right?
Yep.
And that's what you just said.
Yep.
You do want to make the people around you uncomfortable in a positive way, not a negative way, and say, okay, we're not thinking hard enough. We're not doing everything that we can do. That leads me to my next point here, talking about this was something that we got out of church today as well, was focusing the energy. Goals focus my energy. That's what that is.
Oh yeah.
What are you really out there focused on? I'm talking to people watching and later listening to us. What do you have a singular focus? Do you have focus in plural? Like, what are the things? And again, put 2020 aside. This is not one of those New Year's resolution shows. We're not doing that. This is what are you actually working on right now that it's not so much about change, but maybe improving. Let's just use that.
Yeah, it's not a New Year's resolution. It's about what are your goals.
Right.
I say set new goals. What are your goals for? I mean, you basically are setting them, but you're not making a New Year's resolution. We always break those New Year's resolutions. The gym is packed in January.
Sure is.
By February, everybody's like, how do I cancel this gym membership because I'm not going to go?
Right.
So, it's about just channeling and focusing on those goals that you can achieve this year. But the problem is we don't celebrate the small goals.
Amen.
We've got to learn to celebrate the small things. I'll follow one of those people who are like, why are they doing a gender reveal party? Why is this so big now? People are jumping out the sky with pink on or blue on.
Yes.
But the thing is, they are celebrating just the small things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm old school. My grandmother didn't believe in buying anything for the baby until the baby was born.
Right.
Because she's like, I just feel like it. She was very superstitious. I feel like the baby will die or something. So she was very superstitious. But I guess I got old school on that. But we have to learn to celebrate the small things. So if you get an A on your paper, you need to go out and celebrate, or cook yourself a little cupcake and put a candle on it, because that you have achieved something. Celebrate the small things, and when you finally reach the bigger thing, then you have a huge party. I graduated from college, so we've got to learn to celebrate those things.
Tanya says her thing is that she wants to work on her relationships, saying being a better friend, sister, daughter, wife, employee, etc. Well, Tanya, to you, and I'll ask everybody else too, so how are you going to do that? Okay? The important step is we said, know who you are, and then you're going to set your goals. We haven't talked about even writing them down yet, but now that we're there, write them down. Now you've identified it. So I'm going to work on this. Okay, how?
Yeah.
So the planning part is difficult for a lot of us. I had a talk with Davis a few weeks ago, and the technique I learned from your buddy Emmett Smith when I was a kid. That's a joke, everybody. You can't stand Emmett Smith at all. Anyway, Emmett said the reason that he has accomplished what he has, and he's had, make no mistake, a very, very successful life. Everything he has done, he has been successful. He knows what he's talking about. So all the way back to Escambia High School, his coach told him that your dreams will remain a dream until you write them down and make it a goal. And that is just, boom, that is mind-shattering. So when I heard that when I was young, I think I was maybe 12 or 13, that's when he had broken into the NFL, right? And I got his NFL 1990 rookie rushing record card.
Okay.
I sent it off. He sent it back to me. He actually signed it. I don't know where it is now. The point I'm trying to make is this. He identified the things that he had to do in order to get to where he wanted to go. I have actually seen the marker copy of his goals that he wrote down. He actually said when he was at the University of Florida that he wanted to set Florida records. He did that. He actually said he wanted to be a #1 draft pick. He did that. He said he wanted to be the rookie rushing leader. He did that, and on and on and on. So, I'm not saying everybody can be Emmitt Smith. What I am saying is that you will be nobody unless you actually write these things down and make them impactful. And I told Davis that story, and I went into his room a couple weeks ago, and lo and behold, I turned to my left, and on a piece of notebook paper, he had 3 goals written down, and he thumbtacked them on the wall.
Yeah.
And as a father, you take a moment, and you're like, he listened.
Exactly.
And not only did he listen, he applied. Now, is he going to meet them? We'll see. That's the beauty of being a parent, is you sit back and you try to let them fly, and you have to let them fail.
Yes.
In order to succeed, you have to let them fail. And that's something as parents that we are so guilty of, especially in our generation, is that we try to fall under them before they fall and pad them. Well, our parents didn't do that.
Yeah.
Our parents did let us fall flat on our face, and we're better for it.
Exactly. I mean, you think about Ray Charles, always my favorite movie.
Great movie.
When his mom she had to let him go when he was blind, and she wanted them. He heard sounds through the house, and he ended up picking up, I think it was like a caterpillar or a butterfly or something, and his mom was sitting back there crying. He's like, I hear you too, Mama.
Yes.
But she had to let him go. If she would have ever she would have handicapped him if she'd have kept helping. Antonio, Coach Snell said, a horse stable wasn't the goal for Mary and Joseph, but God had a plan. Little did we know that the greatest gift to earth was birthed in that stable. Having a solid goal starts with having and trusting your plan and being in tune with God. Another good friend of mine, Tamika says, I'm working towards finding my true passion and pursuing them wholeheartedly. I am finishing up my degree and having listed some things I want to do that I never thought I could. And I think that's a lot of us.
Yes.
We are definitely, what's up, Dayton? I see you. A lot of us are just, I think we've got to the point where we're tired of just saying we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Somewhere in the Bible it says, write the vision and make it plain. You got to write down what your vision is and make it plain and start speaking it to an existence. Our problem is we'll go tell social media our every move.
Oh yeah, and we'll paint a nice picture.
Yeah, and the thing is, once you start telling things, you have to, you got to realize, and I hate to say it, but there's people that's praying against you. So what you put out in the atmosphere, somebody else might be trying to stop because that's probably one of their goals that they never had achieved. And they're probably saying, well, I pray you don't achieve it before I achieve it. And you never know what people are doing. So I believe in just moving in silence and then start making things happen. That's right, Dayton says, protect the dream. We got to learn to protect our dreams.
Absolutely.
And our goals. And
nobody else will.
Yeah. Nobody else will do it. So that's going to be a part of the process. I challenge everybody this year to start writing down goals, what you want to achieve. And my daughter, y'all got T-shirts now. The show still doesn't have a budget. Donate to your dad.
Right.
Donate to your dad. But
we'll find a budget somewhere. My goodness.
But we gotta write those. We gotta write those goals down and start making those goals plain and start making those things happen for us.
A part of walking into greatness is remembering those moments where you were struggling.
Oh yeah.
And I want to share something I went through, and I don't know if I've told you about this before. I may have, but I've shared this with my students a lot. That I almost quit college 3 times.
Wow.
And a lot of people, exactly. That's what I get. Wow. They're like, what? You? I get the puppy head. You? Yes, me. And I'll tell you why. Me and math, to say that we're not good friends is a gross understatement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Me and Matt had a bad relationship.
Dysfunctional one, right? So there was this test back then in the late 90s when I needed to get my AA. It was called the CLAST test. CLAST. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
You get 3 shots. I didn't pass the first 2, and all I needed to get past was the math portion. That's all I was taking was the math portion. That was it. So I, in order to get enrolled at University of South Florida, that was my huge goal at the time, I had to get past this. So they said, okay, Mr. Ford, this time you are actually taking it on a computer. So okay. Well, I knew about this for a week, and so the anxiety built every day. And I'm like, if I don't do this, I think I'm done. I think me and college are done, and I'm going to have to live with that the rest of my life. I'm going to be in shame. So I go into the administrative office, and I'm sitting there, and it's my time. And the lady says, okay, Mr. Ford, you just got to wait here until somebody else gives up their chair. So I start low, and I say, today is the day I'm turning the corner. Today is the day I'm turning the corner. And it got louder and louder. And I had a full lobby of people, dude.
Yeah.
And I didn't care if they thought I was crazy. I was motivating myself. I knew that I was at a crossroads. I wasn't a believer at that point in my life. I thought everything was about me. But I look back and I'm like, God was giving me the freedom to speak and to protect what you just talked about. Protect your dream, protect your goals.
Yes.
He was telling me, it doesn't matter who is laughing at you. It doesn't matter who they think you're a fool. This is your life. And I'm giving you the power right now to speak it into existence. Dude, I spoke into existence. I killed the test that day.
Yeah.
I got my AA degree. I got enrolled in USF, and the rest is history.
Oh, yeah.
And even telling that to this day is so empowering because to some people it seems so juvenile and seems so small.
Yes.
But it really is in those moments that you've got to identify and understand that that moment's not coming back. That's it.
Yeah.
So if you let it go, that's on you.
Yeah.
It's not on anybody else.
Yeah, that's crucial. We're going to pray for my child right now. She also said, I thought about quitting college at least 3 times, too. I'm giving this semester to God. Yeah, you're going to give it to God because you're going to stay right on up in there. But, I mean, we all have those different stories, you know, where we want to quit. And I know me just getting into college, after I told them that when I was coaching football the first go around at Rutherford High School, and I was like, okay, these coaches not doing the kids right. It wasn't working the way I wanted it to work. I said, what do I need to be a head high school football coach? It was like, they just started laughing. They was like, yeah, you need a bachelor's degree. So good luck with that. But we know you hadn't went to college yet. I was like, all right, I'll be back. So I went and got 2 degrees, applied for my teaching certificate, had a temporary certificate, applied for that job. I didn't get the job, but they told me I gave a great interview. They even took me out to eat afterwards, was trying to get me to take a position over there. But I couldn't settle just for that. So then I went and got my master's degree. So that's why I have so much, you know, just like, I'm complex about like, man, do I really want to be a head football coach now? Because I've worked since the age of 36, working on a college degree. Now I got 3 of them, and still hadn't achieved the goal that I wanted to achieve. And it was kind of hurtful because they'll tell you, oh, you're too young, or you don't have enough experience. And if you ask anybody in Bay County, any kid, any parent that has ever been up under my umbrella when it came to me coaching or me running a league, they was like, he's more than ready. And if you want your kid to be a great member of society or go off to college and do those things, that's the guy that you want coaching. And it breaks my heart when you see like just journey coaches. They go here, they go there, they go to this place.
It's common.
Place.
Yeah.
And you see somebody that is deeply rooted into the community and wants to see kids go further. It discouraged me a lot. And I had to back up and ask myself, dang, am I really great? I'm not getting these jobs. I'm not getting hired. What's wrong with me? And, you know, then people will say, hey, it's because you're a black man. I was like, I hate getting into the black and white thing.
Right.
I believe in just working hard. Are there different racism there? Yeah, it is. In my situation, I'm not going to even say it was racism. You know, it's just people are blinded by the fact on a lot of things that you do. And people make you feel inadequate about the things that you have done. It was like, well, that's not enough. But in the truth, they're like, at the end of the day, they'll come back to me and be like, dang, you should have been the guy that I hired.
Right.
Or you should have been that person. So you forget a lot of times because of failures how great you really are.
Sure.
Just like you said, when you got discouraged, you didn't get the voiceover
Right.
like you wanted to. That kind of, it broke you. It's like, man, I feel like a kid again. But those times, those things make you go back and feel sad. Like, dang, I haven't achieved anything. And no matter what I do, somebody's making me feel it. But then there's something in you that wakes up and says, you know what? I'm going to keep going anyway. I'm going to keep going in spite of. And I think I'm loving that feeling now because for the first time in a long time, I'm the underdog.
I love being the underdog.
You're the underdog.
Yeah.
And we have got to find a way to get up this year. That's why I was like, this show is going to be bigger than it's ever been. I'm not going to sit down on it. I know you're not going to sit down on it. And it's going to get bigger and it's going to get better. And even with things in our life, those things are going to get bigger and better. And eventually we're going to walk into our greatness. But one point I want to bring up, I had a lot of people ask me about it. What's the show going to be about? And I had a very interesting conversation with a young lady at Gulf Coast. She was applying for classes. And she graduated from high school. That was a big achievement. Mm-hmm. And then this is her first year enrolling in college. And then she went on to talk about how she loved her boyfriend and so on and so on. And then I was like, okay. I was like, so what does the boyfriend do? Because they've been together for a long time. She's like, well, he actually dropped out. And he's not doing anything with his life. He's not doing that. He's not doing this. And I was like, so you're basically going to be taking care of a guy, and I was like, as a young woman, you got to understand your worth. And if a man truly, truly loves you, he will change for you. So it goes back to this. In order to really walk into your greatness, you got to be careful of what you got walking on your arm.
Yes.
So if you don't have the right, if you're not connected to the right people, you can't go forward in life. Some of those people are going to be holding you down, and you're going to find yourself constantly taken care of. And a lot of what she was saying in her message was, he doesn't have this, he doesn't have that. And I was like, the worst thing you can do is fall into a relationship where you feel sorry for a person. So a lot of us have gotten into relationships at one point in our lives where we felt sorry for a person. Mm-hmm. So you're in a relationship based off of guilt, basically because you feel sorry for that person and you feel like you can make that person better, not knowing that person is mainly like holding you down from actually walking into your greatness. You can't. I've seen guys go to be pastors at church, and after they interviewed the pastor and his wife, because of how his wife acted, that guy didn't get to church. Mm-hmm. You got to be careful what you tie to and what's on your arm. I believe soul ties are real, and whatever's connected to you has to be connected to greatness. So I tell people all the time, I said it today in church, my biggest prayer for my daughters were, I said, Lord, I don't care what they become, what you make them, but let them grow up to be mighty women of God.
Sure.
Let them be great and mighty women of God. And I know as long as you got them, they're going to be taken care of. And that's my prayer for a lot of people. I mean, I want them people to be great, but you got to be careful what you're tied to. So if you're going to be a guy, you're going to be involved in my daughter's life. No, I'm going to check you. I'm going to feel you out. I'm going to be quiet at first. I'm going to figure you out. I'm going to fill out all those things because I prayed prayers for them. And in order for them to get to where they're going to be, there's going to have to be a great guy that's on their arm. You can't be the little guy that comes with bull crap. You got to be great yourself. Right. So I believe if we start praying for greatness, especially to be around us, greatness will be around us in generations to come.
A great segue onto that, what you said, is goals build your character. Mm-hmm. They hold you accountable. So if you say, well, this is what I want to accomplish, okay, that's when you decide, am I going to keep this in my head and make it a dream? Or am I going to write it down and make it a goal? Yes. And so today, Demi was laughing. She's like, so what goals have you written down this year? And I said, well, actually, I'm not writing mine down except for the one I did earlier. She's like, well, that goes against everything you talk about. I said, you're right. I said, but I've actually gotten to where I don't need to write them down anymore because I believe in what I'm doing so much that I actually think I will do them. Yeah. And there was another light moment yesterday where I'm not the most handy guy, okay? I'm not the best at building things. Everybody who knows me knows that, right? Mm-hmm. Great with my hands, but that's called typing and coaching and playing ball with my hands, not fixing things. So I'm in the garage, I'm building that sports organizer yesterday, and I'm like, man, I'm missing a couple things. They didn't come in the box. She's like, seriously, are you sure? I said, hey, I'm looking at the picture, and I'm telling you they didn't come in the boxes. This must be a different kit, right? Yeah. So she comes out, she's like, do you care if I look? I'm like, go ahead. So it turns out they were sitting right in front of me, but the picture looked different to me than what I thought it should look like.
I got you.
Okay?
I got you.
And she said, so I'm glad I came out here, because otherwise, she's like, what would you do without me? I said, I don't know. And she's like, but you know what? She's like, this is a compliment. That's a testament to your confidence.
Yeah.
That you blamed it on the company for not putting those parts in there.
Yeah.
That you knew you had this thing built without it. I was like, you know what? I'm never short on confidence.
Hey, every man says that shit.
You
I don't
know?
know why they got these extra pieces in the box.
Exactly.
I'm supposed to read the directions.
I'm like, I was ready to roll with it. I'm like, they didn't come, but it's fine anyway. It still worked. I thought that was funny, you know? So if you're blessed with that kind of confidence, just be careful.
Yeah.
Because there are pieces that you're leaving out. That's the moral of the story on that.
Oh yeah.
Another bullet point that we have to talk about is that decade of your 20s.
Oh man.
Now you've talked about in your 20s that you were a lost guy, right?
Yeah.
I was lost in a way where I was doing what Chandler was doing. I was doing what our oldest, who we share destiny, is doing right now. She's going to be 24, and she has been kind of going in a cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Of this is what I'm going to do, and she gets halfway there and it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, and I've told her, I was like, you know what, you are so not alone.
Mm-hmm.
You need to feel and understand you have a legion of people who are just like you, and it's okay.
Exactly.
It's okay to not be where you think you should be right now.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, how much longer do I have? I said, I'm glad you asked. Have a mental clock and understand that if you feel like 3 years longer has been too long, then that's your clock. But don't be on anybody else's clock. I was like, I know you graduated with people and you were just as or even more successful than them when you graduated high school. It doesn't mean anything now.
Mm-hmm.
That's in the past. Now, if they went on and they got their college degrees and they've got a family now, great.
Yeah.
Great. Be happy for them. That's not your journey. Just like them looking at you, they have no right to judge you.
Exactly.
Because we all have something called life.
Yep.
That stares us down and says, yeah, come on with it. I got a whole lot for you. I got a fork in the road for you. And you got to choose. Are you going to go left or are you going to go right? There ain't no middle.
Exactly.
Okay? And so after we got done talking, she actually felt relieved. And I didn't have anybody to tell me that.
Mm-hmm.
Though I don't want to say I didn't have anybody. I did, but I was too prideful to ask.
Yeah.
And I told her about a book that I read when I was about 27. And that was around the age I became a father. Mm-hmm. And it was called The Quarter Life Crisis. So it's like when you're 25 years old, where are you supposed to be, quote unquote? Where are you supposed to be?
Exactly.
Great book. If anybody can find it out there, if you're in that decade of your 20s, maybe even your early 30s, and you don't think you're supposed to, if you think you're not supposed to be where you are right now, or vice versa,
mm-hmm.
check out that book, please. It's very short. It's very easy reading. And it will make you breathe and say, you know what, I'm okay. I can reevaluate it just because I'm not where I thought I would be when I was 17.
Yeah.
Because who of us here listening to this are where we are when we thought we were going to be 17?
Exactly.
Then, and if you did, if you're somebody out there that said, yeah, I've met all my goals 100%, please let me know. We'll talk about that and I will prove you wrong.
Exactly.
There's no way. It just doesn't happen. I'm not saying that you're not capable of knocking out 8 out of your 10, but don't tell me you got 10 out of 10. That's not being truthful. That would say you're the P word, you're perfect. And we don't talk about that word. You know, we strive for perfection, do we not? When we're coaching, when we're teaching, when we're fathering, when we are being a spouse, man, dude, we want to try to be as close to perfect as we can.
Yeah.
Because we tell our kids and their students, hey, well, you know, even if you don't reach it, you're still higher than everybody else. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, listen, perfect. Nobody's going to be perfect, but if you're working towards being perfect, you would definitely be great. Only person walked this earth perfect was Jesus. So we are going to make those mistakes. We're going to get off track some. And when you're going to set those goals this year, you're going to be off track. Still, don't give up. Just hop right back on them. Okay, you ate bad this week. It was your birthday weekend. My birthday's the end of this month. I'm probably going to eat bad. You know, you still trust God through the process and hop right back on. A lot of us will get off track and just stay off track. We don't know how to get back on.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just like riding a bicycle. You fall down, you get back up. Try again. Keep trying until you can actually ride the bicycle.
Yes.
Skating, same thing. You fall down, get back up. Do not be afraid to get back up. One of my basketball players, and she's in college right now. Her first few years with me, she would always fall down on the ground and just cry and just be in an emotional wreck.
Yes.
And I was like, listen, you're going to have to get back up, and you're going to have to fight.
Yes.
You're going to have to get back up. You're going to have to fight. Her senior year, she would fall, get back up, and go even harder. And so she finally grasped what I was trying to tell her, and now she's playing basketball in college. And she never thought she would get a basketball scholarship to play basketball. But she did.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and she shocked me, but I knew she worked hard and she was capable of doing it. We've got to learn to get back up this year, even when we fall. This decade, we've got to learn to get back up. I mean, 2010 through 2019 was very hard.
Oh my gosh.
And now I sit back and I reflect on it. I lost like all of my family in that era. I lost my grandmother. I lost 1, 2, 3 uncles. I lost a lot of people last decade. This decade, I pray, is just more promising. I mean, tomorrow's not promised, and we never know. And we keep putting stuff off to tomorrow. I keep putting this book off. I keep doing that. I keep doing those things. Tomorrow's not promised. This decade is not promised to us.
No.
But here we are, the first part of the decade, having a podcast talking about what we need to do for this decade and on things on the come. So I think we got to continue that talk, continue that process of going forward, because we never know when it's our time to check out.
Well, you don't have any excuses not getting that book done. You got somebody sitting right across from you to hold you accountable.
I tell you, man, I swear.
That's something else too. You know, surround yourself with people that are going to hold you accountable. I think we've talked about this before, but this goes with this discussion. And if you're trying to, like we said, your goals build your character. As part of that character, who do you have around you?
Yeah.
Who are you talking to on a daily basis, on a weekly basis? Who are you going to work with?
Mm-hmm.
Who are you eating dinner with? If you're going to the bar, cool. No judgment here. Who are you hanging with at the bar?
Exactly.
What are you talking about? What's next on the horizon for you? Not a goal, but when you're saying, hey, when we hang out this next weekend, are you talking about something positive, or are you talking about something that you could put yourself in a bad position?
Yeah.
Ask yourself all of these questions. I want to bring up Kevin Hart for a quick minute. We're both big fans.
Did you watch the Netflix special?
Yes.
Yeah.
Watch the series too about, don't F this up.
That's what it was.
Okay.
I like that.
I really got into that. Now,
I did too.
my thing with him is this. I hold him up there with the best ever comedians, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm disappointed in him just man to man with how he stepped out on his wife.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And this is something that it's crazy how that got brushed under the rug, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess all is forgiven. And being someone who's always loyal, I've got a T-shirt that's got the Mandalorian thing on it that says loyalty till death, or loyalty then death, or something like that. Which I think that's going to be one of the first tats I get on my arm. There's something there that bothers me with him, and that is I know he's got his boys around, he's got his entourage, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they did a great job of holding him accountable. I think they became yes men, and we've talked about yes men.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the youth now don't have coaches like me and you who are trying to tell them, hey, you messed up.
Mm-hmm.
They got yes men saying, oh yeah, you got that D1 locked up, bro.
Oh, yeah.
You got it, you're good. You just keep doing what you're doing. I got you. No, you need to understand that fine line.
Mm-hmm.
And don't let the fame, well, not for us, we're not having the fame, but let's just say on a lower level of success, right?
Yeah.
Let's just say all of a sudden we get 100 viewers for YouTube, which we're still far away from that. But we're like, we're big time now.
Yeah.
No, you and I are humble, probably sometimes to a fault,
Mm-hmm.
because we don't do a good job of marketing the show. You know, we put it out on Facebook and Instagram, but we're not out on the corner. We're not making bracelets. We're not doing things that we need to be doing. But we're going to get there,
Definitely.
right?
Definitely.
And we have these ideas. What I'm trying to say is this. I'm sorry if I'm beating around the bush. Is that part of the character and setting your goals going hand in hand? Who is that person that's on your right and to your left that you're looking at?
Yeah.
Ask yourself that. And if you can identify that, do it quickly. Don't wait. Don't worry about hurting his or her feelings. Say, you know what? I'm doing this for me. I got one life.
Oh, yeah.
And if you want to say it's because of a new decade, okay, use that cop out that it's a new decade. Whatever you got to lean on. It's a new decade, it's a new me. Cool. Whatever you got to do. Because like you just said, if we look back and say, man, who was I in 2010? I was a far cry from the Dave I am now. And if I could go back then and say, bro, you got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
I would do it because I went through a lot of pain to get where I am now. But I'm thankful. Exactly. And I know that you did too.
Exactly. I got some great comments. Dayton said jacking things up is part of the process.
Yes.
He also said, so mess it up big, but learn from it.
Yes.
I think Kevin Hart really learned this time. I hope he learned. But Dayton also said this one, and this really makes sense to me. He says his mentor tells him, or says, show me your top 5 friends, and I can show you where you're going.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that was, Dayton is one of those guys. I mean, you think about it, we grew up, we didn't have dads in our life at that particular junction. We held each other accountable. So Dayton was like, in ways, Dayton, Bobby, they were like, we was all like each other's dad. So we held each other accountable for a lot of the things that we did. And as we got older and we became fathers, we learned to not be mad at our dads because we understand now, being a dad, there's a whole lot more to it than just saying, hey, mom is going to let dad see the kids. A few of us have been through divorce, me and Dayton have. And we went through situations where it was like hard to see our kids and do this. And he was like, man, is this what my dad had to go through?
Yeah.
To try to see me, and it helps you understand. I think becoming a parent helps you understand your parents a lot more.
Oh, yeah.
And the struggle they had to go through. So there was always an accountability that we had to hold each other to. It was a standard that we tried our hardest to hold each other to. So I definitely thank God for those guys. And anytime they get any knowledge as far as let's do this business, they're always trying to share it with people. We're always trying to share it with each other. I truly believe if one of us becomes a multi-millionaire, everybody else is going to be a millionaire in the group because we just want to look out for each other. Like,
yeah,
man, when I win the lottery, you're going to be a millionaire too.
and there's something to be said about that too. It's like it's not even about share the wealth. It's about sharing in that victory.
Yeah.
It's sharing in that greatness. And greatness is defined in so many different ways. So if I ask 10 people on the street, what do you define as greatness? We're probably going to get about 10 different answers. Mm-hmm. They might say greatness is how much money you make or success. And I would say, okay, what is successful to you? Or greatness is having 5 kids and a wife, or, on and on and on. So I think what we're trying to say today is whatever your journey is, if you know that you're moving forward, and you know that even if your plan is not laid out, but you feel like you're in it, that is your greatness.
Definitely.
Because who else is it?
Definitely.
It's not your mom's or your dad's or your sisters or your brother or your friends. It's yours because you're not telling their story, you're telling yours. And that's the beauty of today's subject is that I'm sure a lot of people are like, walking your greatness. Wow, they're going to brag on themselves. No. If y'all haven't learned anything by now, that's not what this show is about. We're trying to really tap into those nerves and really make you uncomfortable a little bit in that way of, wow, maybe I'm not doing enough. But even if you are doing what you think that you can do right now, maybe this is all you can do.
Exactly.
Like 2019 and the latter part of 2018 for a lot of us, dude, we were in survival mode. Mm-hmm. We couldn't have had this discussion then. We weren't ready. Look at us even back when we did the anniversary show for Hurricane Michael. Man, we were broken dudes. If you go back and look at that YouTube, we were really messed up. And look at us now. We have prayed a lot. We have leaned on family. We've leaned on our spouses. We've leaned on each other. Mm-hmm. It just goes to show you guys, it takes a lot of maintenance. Yes, if you're going to throw something out in the atmosphere, don't expect the atmosphere to give it back to you with presence.
Yeah.
Whether it's prayer, whether it's talking to whoever, or both. And I hope people are praying out there. And if you're not believers, I'm not going to say, well, you got to believe or else. No, that's not going to be me. What I'm saying is, you find something positive to latch onto. if it's one good friend,
Mm-hmm.
if it's somebody maybe you've disconnected with from high school, but you had a really close relationship, get back with them and find out, where did I go wrong and how can I redo this?
Exactly.
Because when you talk about a decade, 10 years really is not a long time.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things can happen in 10 years, but 10 years to a human being is a blink of an eye.
Definitely.
It's like dog years.
Definitely.
Really. And so my hope is that in 2030, you and I are going to go, man, we started that thing back in 2019 and look at us now.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I'm not even really talking about a show. I'm just talking about how much have we enriched our friendship.
Yeah.
What do our families look like now?
Yeah.
Do our families have families now?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have no idea what is ahead, and that today is the genesis of that. And saying, like you just said, we're not guaranteed tomorrow. So what the heck are you doing expecting that there's going to be a tomorrow?
Yep. Exactly.
Get to work.
Yep. Yep. So, I mean, I know we got to kind of get out of here.
Yeah, we do.
But I do want to say, don't let anybody make you feel bad because of your grades.
Or less than.
Yeah, definitely less than, inadequate, or like you're doing too much. You get that a lot of times. See it, and we're like, why is she doing so much? Why is he doing so much? A lot of people are walking into their calling. They're walking by design on what God has called them to do. And a lot of times we come off as haters because we don't understand why they're moving so much.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. What if you were moving like they was moving? Think about how further along you could be if you start moving like some of the other people you see moving. But you be like, I want to keep mine all bottled up, and then eventually I'm going to move and do what I'm supposed to do. But we got to stop being like that. We got to learn to just move and find our way. Some of us have been holding businesses in our mind for a long time and haven't stepped out.
Right.
Somebody's probably watching this live right now has the cure for disease. And it's just holding it in their mind because they're scared to step out on faith.
Fear.
Let this be the year that you don't have any more fears, you don't have any more regret. Let this be the decade that you finally get things going in your life where you can have people stop talking about you or saying this and that about you. This is the year where you can change and turn all it around. You just got to step out on faith and don't let people make you feel bad about your greatness. And a lot of times we try our hardest to be humble and not say a lot of things, but God wants you to get out there, put yourself out there, step out in the forefront. Now, I'm not saying go get mad and start you a church. We got too many churches on each corner.
Oh my gosh, they're everywhere.
But I'm just saying, if God told you to do it, do it. If He told you to do that, do it. And whatever you're holding on to, stop holding on to it. It's time. A lot of us have been pregnant with greatness for too long and hadn't gave birth to it yet.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us are just waiting. We've been in labor too long.
Yes.
It's time to have that baby, put that baby out in the atmosphere, and watch God bless it. Don't be afraid to be who you are and walk into your greatness. And I'm speaking to myself on that. Don't be afraid to go take tests. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there again. Don't be afraid to try. Go on job interviews. Do what you got to do. Get on this coaching staff. Get on that. Learn. Don't be afraid to do those things anymore. Or make failures make you feel like you're less than.
Do that.
So this year this decade should be about walking in greatness. In 2030, I need to be chilling somewhere and retired and having a good time.
That sounds
Probably
great.
just cranking the microphone every day and talking to people about life, about how you can do it. And in 2020, I was sitting at the table. I didn't have this amount in my bank account, but look at me now. God can do it, and we got to start believing God to do those things.
2030 will be consulting on our documentary, right?
Yeah. J.O.B. podcast.
Oh my goodness.
Behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes. This is how it happened. This is how it happened. Yeah, for real. I'm glad you said that. Don't be afraid to step out in faith, because without faith, you're not really going to get that far. You can't do it alone. I learned that years ago, back in 2002. Was when I started on the avenue of getting saved, and I will never forget it. Mm-hmm. It makes me happy to think back to the person I was almost 20 years ago, and the person I've become, and all the cool things that have happened because I have not been afraid to step out of that bubble. And even the side hustles that you and I both have going on. Use your gifts, guys. Don't say just because I have a job. Are you using your gift?
Yep.
Doing voiceovers is a cool thing for me. Doing editing, so I got 2 things I'm trying to do on the side. Ty's trying to write his book. Everybody should try to be some sort of entrepreneur. Take it from here, put it down here. Don't let it just be a dream. Make it a goal. And once it's a goal, achieve it. Exactly. And if you do achieve it, by all means, enjoy it, please. Enjoy it, celebrate it for as long as you need to. And it's okay to move on from that point. I hope everybody out there has enjoyed this today. I hope this carries on the conversation. This is one of those shows that's a handful that we've had that we want this to snowball into another one. Yeah. And if some of you out there say, well, you didn't bring up this, great, let us know. Please, by all means, hold us accountable. Call us out and say, look, there was something I was really hoping you guys would talk about, but you didn't get there. That's fine. Let us know. We can always bring it up in a different show, because let's be honest, dude, all of our shows go like this anyway. Yeah. It's an organism. It's a real life thing. It's organic. So I guess that's about it today. We'll go ahead and wrap it up. This has been episode 1, and we are in season 2 now. Again, this has been called Walk in Your Greatness. I hope everybody out there is having a blessed weekend. Hey, get that strength up for this next week. Enjoy the NFL playoffs. Enjoy what you're doing. Me and this man right here are going to be going at it Friday night, Mosley versus Rutherford in Mosley's house. You locally, if anybody can come out there and watch us go at it, that is going to be fun. What a blessing that we get to go fellowship with each other. And a relationship and a friendship that started back in 2016. I never knew I'd be coaching on the other side of this guy, but I'm going to enjoy that game more than I have anything else. It's not about beating him. It ain't about him beating me. It's the fact that we're doing something that we love to do. We're out there helping young men. And somebody's going to win and somebody's got to lose. And the cool thing, a week and a half after that, we see each other again. So, everybody do it up big out there. God bless everybody. I'm Dave Ford.
Ty Steele.
That's Ty Steele. Yo, peace. God bless.